Cognitivism. Presentation by Drew Small. To introduce and familiarize you with cognitive psychology or cognitivism, we will be covering the following areas during this presentation: an overview of cognitivism, background and history, differences in cognitive psychology and behaviorism, cognitivism in practice, and then finally, summary. We will now focus on the brief overview of cognitivism. This theory roots itself in the idea that learning is acquisition of knowledge. Cognitive psychology believes that the learner is an information processing device that absorbs information, undertakes cognitive operations, and stocks it as memory. This knowledge is stored until it is needed. Latent learning is the idea that the behavior is not instantly changed at the time of learning, but when is needed. Here's a diagram that is used to visually illustrate cognitive psychology and latent learning. As you can see, the outer two boxes are stimulus and response. In behaviorism, these are the only two components. Regarding cognitive psychology, we see that stimuli provides input that is banked in a person's information storage. Using that information, it compiles all relevant tangential information and uses that to carry out the response in the form of the output. Cognitive psychology believes that present and past information is used responding to certain stimuli. Edward Tullman is the founding father of cognitive psychology. Tullman found that there were gaps in behaviorism that could not be explained. Psychologists started the school of thought to better understand the whys and hows of behaviorism. Cognitive psychology was started in the early 20th century with the rise of technology and the digital age. As cognitive psychology has evolved, the brain has been compared to a computer based on how it has the ability to process information. Psychologists have crowdsourced their research and knowledge to create different theories within cognitive psychology, which include cognitive flexibility theory, cognitive dissonance theory, cognitive load theory, and cognitive constructionist learning theory. We are now going to look closer at the differences between cognitivism and behaviorism. Like mentioned before, cognitive psychology focuses more on the complex mental phenomena. Behaviorism believes in the visible change in behavior due to stimuli, but cognitive psychology argues that the response is through previous exposure and delayed. Lastly, behaviorism focuses on repetition and exercise to ingrain certain reactions to stimuli. Cognitive psychology does not believe this is the case due to the brain taking in information and using it for later use. Instructional design based off the cognitive psychology will be in a lecture setting and will include reading, as listeners are seen as passive recipients of information. The content needs to be authentic and real in rich classroom environments. Extra content that does not directly relate can cloud the learning environment. Some examples of instructional materials include in-class demonstrations, illustrative examples, and constructive feedback. To help students intake information for future use, there are several ways you can execute lessons and present information. First, you can provide organized instruction by using concept maps and other graphic representations to make the information being presented evident through demonstration. Secondly, you can use single and coherent representations. This allows the learner to focus their attention rather than split their attention. An example is using graphs or diagrams independently from text, so that the student can focus on one thing at a time. Another strategy is linking new material to what is known. This scaffolding technique allows you to build upon topics and knowledge. Next, you can eliminate redundancy. Redundant information in text and diagrams has been shown to actually decrease learning. Lastly, you can recognize the limitation of short-term memory. By utilizing chunking, you can separate a long list of items as separate but related concepts and make the concept manageable. To summarize, cognitive psychology was founded to create an explanation for gaps in behaviorism that cannot be explained. This theory views the brain as an information processor that uses previous knowledge that has been stored over time to react to stimuli. Tullman believes that humans do more than respond to stimuli. They act on beliefs, attitudes, changing conditions, and strive to achieve goals. Lastly, reinforcement is not needed for learning to occur. Latent learning explains how individuals can recall previous information. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I look forward to discussing cognitive psychology within the discussion board posts. Thank you.